What's up, everyone? Welcome to Slithering Salamander headquarters, and today we are going to be working on a new build. So this build will be starting from scratch in what used to be my long-tailed salamander enclosure, which was a large paludarium, so it's already drilled and everything like that. Unfortunately, those animals did not do well in that enclosure, or just didn't do well in general. I had them for about 3.5 years from larva, and just didn't have a lot of great luck, unfortunately. And so the thing's been gutted now for many months. And I spent some time recently at some zoos and had some interesting conversations about construction building and different types of materials to use. And so today we're going to be beginning this process of creating a new enclosure, a paludarium, again, because it's already drilled, and that's kind of what the tank is designed for. So we're not going to change that, but we're going to be working with a new material, at least on the channel. It's something I worked with in the past and just kind of experimented with and didn't do anything with it much after that. So it'll be fun. It'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm really looking forward to it. So let's get things kicked off. So we're going to be using polystyrene. I have a source to get these big blocks. And it's free, which is nice. And I've always wanted to carve this stuff up. Basically you get the idea. This is the old enclosure. And what we're gonna do is we are going to use some of that tubing, and we're going to create a kind of cascading water effect through the either both or one side. Right now I have a nozzle up for two, but and you can see that's just the tubing there and how it could go, but I'm not 100% sold on what I'm going to do yet at this point in the video. And it's only about 2.5 inches of water that needs to be filled, and this is kind of the carving process. You can use knives, you can use hot knives. I've been using both. I'm doing it inside, which I learned pretty quickly you shouldn't do. I know that, but I didn't think it was going to create that much fumes, but of course it did. So I end up moving outside. But the hot knife is great. I have a hot wire too, but the hot knife is really awesome. I had some really good luck with that, and was able to carve some really cool shapes, and just from some pictures of rocks and cliffs that I have. So I'm doing it outside. And so hitting it with a heat gun, carving in some cool detail. And this is kind of what it will look like inside the tank. You can see some of these designs. I actually painted that one in dry lock, and there's a reason why, which I will discuss later. But in general, this is kind of the setup. Okay, so what material are we going to work with? And what we are going to work with is, so we're using Zupoxy. This is Polygem 307 Light. As you can see, there are two kinds of epoxy. There's an A and a B. You mix about equal amount together. It's pretty forgiving, and then use a thickening agent, which is here. Water is a release agent. It's very sticky, so you're going to use gloves. That's obviously what the thickening agent is for too. And then you'll put this on the background, and you can mold and sculpt it. I mentioned before that this is new to the channel, but not new to me. I tried this a long time ago, and I had okay results. You know, I'm probably a little bit better at sculpting things. This comes from a company called Smooth On. In fact, it's the same company that owns Buddy Rhodes, which is the stuff I've used, as you can see here, for making backgrounds. There's one back there, there's one right there. That's the concrete. And I still have that, which I really like that, but it's heavy. And this stuff is not heavy, and I'm getting sick of using heavy stuff, like all those rocks. So anyhow, let's get to it. But like I said, you're gonna need gloves, you're gonna need paint sticks, potentially a brush, scrapers. You need this captive bred cup of coffee, which is really important. This has been captively bred for generations now. Originally, this coffee came from the Appalachian Mountains. This water is wild caught, which is the release agent. And let's go. I'm gonna show you how to put it on. We're gonna start to put it on the background of the foam that I already cut, and we're gonna see how it turns out. We're gonna do small pieces at a time, so we don't, you know, if it's not working out well, we can kind of pivot to some other material. But I really wanna try this because of the lightness, and I've become better at sculpting things. So let's give it a whirl. Totally forgot to mention, you should wear a mask. The thickening agent is in a powder form. You don't want to breathe that kind of stuff in. And as you can see, I'm inside right now. Even when I'm doing it outside, you should probably still wear a mask too. I'm not great. I need to be better doing that just because I forget and I'm lazy. But this time I'm gonna wear it, and so let's go. So we're gonna start with this here. This is a pretty big piece of polystyrene that I carved to make it look, to have some crevices and rock. And what we're gonna do is apply the Zupoxy to this, and then we'll mold it and sculpt it after we've covered it, and we'll use this as a test case. So here's the first pass at this. That's just thickening agent, which is on it. I'm gonna have to sculpt it now. It's already starting to cure. So I gotta be careful. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I used a lot more Zupoxy than I thought I was going to. And so, it's still pretty sticky in some parts, but I will go ahead and start carving. All right, so this took a lot longer than I thought. I don't know how I feel about the carving aspect. I think you have to carve it, kind of rookie mistake. The last time I did it, I made a small rock, and I tried to do this all at once, and I think I should have just done it a piece at a time. And some of the stuff, the epoxy hardened. Anyhow, I got to clean it off. I also wasted a lot of epoxy to get in these cracks. What I've done with the other pieces is I've dry locked them. I'm not going to waste epoxy going all the way in there. It's already going to be sealed with dry lock. In fact, I'm going to dry lock the entire piece. Note in here, I didn't really carve anything in here because there's going to be vegetation. I just focused more kind of on the parts that you will see. Took the flash off. I think it's better to see it this way. So I'm gonna start to color this thing now. I'm not sure, I heard that this stuff can take stains and paint. I'm gonna use some paints and some other things, and I'll show it here in a minute, but overall it's okay. I think Buddy Rhodes actually carves easier in terms of the way it flakes off to create. Like, this stuff is just, I think you have to get it when it's softer. Rip my glove, but it's all right. I don't know. We'll have to see how the final product comes out after I paint it and everything and take a look. But it still looks pretty good, I think. Just not, like I said, I should have done it one piece at a time. But I do like the detail that you can get. I mean, if you look at some of this stuff, you can get some pretty cool striations and the rock and things like that. So from that respect, it's pretty good. But yeah, let's see. I'm going to color it here with a stain. It's a black mixed with water. I'm going to spray it on and let it soak in, and then I'll start to paint it with non-toxic acrylic. All right, so I actually used an olive and a brown stain, as you can see. I like the way the black stains set in. I usually start dark to light on these. I also hit it with a heat gun. Mind you, I hit it with a heat gun from about 1.5 feet away. I didn't want it to heat up the epoxy too much or melt anything or create some fumes to kill myself by accident. So I like the way it looks. I'm gonna still hit it with some paint. I do have a green glaze I might hit it with, like a concrete glaze that I think will sit in nicely. As you can see, I mean, it's definitely in the epoxy, which the epoxy really takes the stains, which is great. So you can use a lot of different things. But I'm liking the way it's looking. I think it looks pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with another glaze, then I might hit it with a heat gun or just let it dry, and then I'm gonna start with the acrylics. So I hit it with a lot of lighter colors to try to get a lichen or light mossy color highlight, which I saw in some sandstone recently, and I really like that. So that's what I was kind of trying to replicate a little bit and give it kind of a damp look. And so I think it'll look a lot better in the tank with the lights. The lighting I have out here is not great, but this Zupoxy process in painting and sculpting took literally an entire Sunday. So I am going to have to do that for 4 more pieces. So it's a lot of work ahead, but we'll get it done. All right, so as happens many times, I start to mess around with different techniques on building these backgrounds. And I know I started with Zupoxy, and the Zupoxy, I like the outcome, but I want to show you something. So as is the case with me building things and getting carried away, I mean, I've been using some materials that are not Zupoxy, and this looks a heck of a lot more realistic than the Zupoxy. This is all organic. I'm not going to disclose exactly what I've done, but this is many, many layers on top of styrofoam or polystyrene, whatever you want to call it. But I gotta be honest, I mean, this looks so much better than most of the stuff I've used. I mean, you get the detail of the polystyrene, and then you don't have to dilute it with a bunch of materials on top of it. I started with dry locking all this stuff, and I've used some glazes and some other organic powdered elements here. Again, I'm not gonna get into the details just yet because I want to make sure that everything turns out all right. But in terms of realism, I mean, this is really good. I have a suspicion this is how other really well-known terrarium background builder people, whatever you want to call them, do stuff. I mean, maybe not exactly the same materials. Again, I was just kind of fooling around and I kind of stumbled on this, but I'm really liking this. So I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to probably not use the Zupoxy background for this one. If I do, maybe I'll coat it with what I'm doing here. But I'm really digging this. This is looking really dope. So let's keep going. Here I'm just using a heat gun to kind of touch up some areas, kind of bake on the material, adding some more glazes, some non-toxic acrylic paints, and just trying to get it dry as opposed to waiting. Just using it on the heat gun on a low setting, and just brushing off some excess materials, doing a little dry brush technique in areas to put some lichen and other type of mossy kind of colors, and that's about it. Just to give you an idea here, this just this little video segment, which is about a minute, took over an hour of just going back, touching up, using a heat gun, dry brushing, adding more material, brushing it, trying to make it look realistic. It's just a really meticulous process. Here we have a whole big mess. I didn't use my hot knife. I did a little bit, but I did it to get the general. But to get some of these details, you know, I just used a knife and razor blades. I don't want to over carve it. I think this is pretty good. But yeah, I had to carve another one of these because the other one I Zupoxied. So let's go. Always remember to tidy thy workspace as well as you go. Makes it easier. And here are some of the panels that I'm going to be putting in here. I'm not crazy about the one on the top left there, but these really, I think they look good. I mean, I think you get the texture of the rocks. There's a little bit of a shadow there, but it really, I feel like it's pretty good, honestly. I think I'm just going to get better at doing this as I go. I have some ideas of other kind of materials to use that will work well. So let's keep pushing on with this background now. I've gone ahead and carved some other pieces to get the height to try to get closer to the top. This is a pretty tall enclosure, so I've went ahead and carved more polystyrene here, some rocks, just kind of using a hot knife, but mainly just razor blades and other knives and things like that. And then here simply is just part of the process, which is dry locking everything. This part is kind of annoying and boring, but you know, part of the process. This kind of will seal in the polystyrene, and then what I will do is add layers of materials over top of this to give the rock a texture, so it actually looks like a rock, or as close to a rock as I can get. Again, this is a new process for me, so I'm gonna see how this plays out over the long run before I kind of reveal all the different things that I put on this to make sure it's safe. And I mean, again, I think I'm 99.9% sure it's gonna be fine, but it's just a new thing, so I'm going to see how plants do first and then eventually introduce animals probably. But I really like it. I think it's a good way to do it, and then coming up here shortly, you're going to be able to see, like right here, kind of what some of the material stuff looks like. It's a lot lighter than the other pieces right now, but during the kind of layering process, it will get darker as I kind of paint and do other things. I've decided I'm not going to have a double spigot in here or two tubes, just one. Well, I just want water coming out one side, and I'm also putting a sponge in here to stop the water, so diffuse it a little bit. All right, so I went ahead and I skipped ahead a little bit here. I'm using this coffee to get me rejuvenated because I am very tired today. But what I've done is I've used the old Great Stuff Pond and Stone here to basically, well, along with silicone, to get these big pieces in, which I did. I've sealed it off very well with expanding foam so no animals can get back. However, there's always might be little cracks and stuff that I can't get to, so I've also shoved in filter foam, as you can see back there, in case some ornery animal gets back there. But anyways, I'm filling in these gaps in between the styrofoam pieces here with expanding foam. I'm starting to put some driftwood. I have a lot of driftwood. I don't know that I'm even going to be able to use 10% of it. I've got some pretty cool pieces, but I'm also gonna probably under here have to create some more foam rocks to make it look more natural. And also I did use some insulation foam to give this a little more height so it's not completely hidden. You know, when I do put some substrate in. So basically, once this cures and everything, I'll carve it up and I'll blend it in. But then I'm really gonna have to work here and on the bottom to make it look more natural and give it some kind of natural gradient or blend it to make it look like it kind of goes. So we'll see. Here I'm just using expanding foam, getting in that big crack in between, adding more driftwood. I did carve some styrofoam pieces, as you can see on the right. I decided not to use them because I don't want it to block the water flow too much. I don't want stagnant water, i.e. cyanobacteria. So anyways, I'm just gonna wait for this to cure and then we will start to carve. It's a carved. If you want to see someone carve expanding foam, I highly recommend watching someone do it for several hours. There's plenty of videos on YouTube. It is mind-boggling, amazing stuff. So now I'm just applying some silicone to the carved foam, and I am just using a little paintbrush to spread it all out evenly. And now I'm adding some substrate, a mixture of organic substrates to this to stick on the silicone. I'm just vacuuming it up. Cleaning up my mess here, and then I'm spraying it down with some water and some non-toxic acrylic paint. And so this is kind of the end product. I mean, this is mainly the background at this point. And I think it looks pretty good. It looks kind of like a roots kind of overgrowing a cliff with substrate around it. To me, this looks very realistic. I'm very happy with it. There's still some little touch-up I need to do where there's still expanding foam. I'll probably use some damp sphagnum moss and maybe a little bit more of the substrate mix I have to kind of blend everything in, but I am very satisfied with this. Adding some fluval stratum here, and this will be the base of the substrate. And this is the about two 8.8 pound bags, I think that's what it is, of fluval stratum, and I just kind of sloped it up just a little bit to cover the foam and just have it kind of, over time, it'll kind of turn to mud, and should be like a bank up on these rocks. So pretty happy with this. Here I've added a bunch of sphagnum moss instead of substrate, which will end up just, I don't know, kind of rotting. This stuff is pretty good. I like it. I don't use it enough and give it enough credit. And moss and other things can grow on it. It's a really good medium for other things to grow. So I've kind of put it all over the place to wick water and to kind of be that medium. Here all I'm doing is cleaning off old rocks that I had in old enclosures, just dirt and grime and stuff like that. I just let them sit for like a year, and then I just use like this dish brush here, and I just kind of scrub them. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build up a rock layer so it looks like a rock embankment kind of leading up, as you can see. Just wetted those rocks down, just made sure they're nice and clean. All right, so I have lots of snakeskin liverworts that grow in my yard. So I take little patches of this and then I rinse them off. Now, I actually planted this here a long time ago to have it so I don't have to take it from my house out in the mountains. And then I just rinse it off to get all the debris and that stuff off with a hose. And then I use this in my tanks. And I know it's clean because I don't use any pesticides in my yard. The only thing there could be some, parasites and things like that. So I typically do my best to rinse this stuff out so there's really no substrate left. It's just kind of like a mat. And then I use this, and I've been using this pretty successfully for years. Found these little ferns on a sandstone boulder on my property up in the mountains, and we're kind of in a drier condition, so I'm not sure how well they will do in here, but I'm gonna kind of experiment here, but I really like them, and I would love to see if I could propagate these. They're really, really interesting. Just adding the liverwort that I showed you guys before in the bin, I have much better luck with it growing at the top than the bottom. It grows straight up when it is on the bottom. So I like it growing on the top in a nice thick mat. Here I'm just adding some temperate moss against my better judgment. We'll see how this goes. If this takes off, great. If not, we will be replacing it with some Java moss. Filling the tank. Got the Mist Kings turned back on. And as you can see, they're working great. So I've also added some plastic on top of the tank above the LED lights to try to keep a little humidity up there. Not a ton. I don't want things to get mushy and die, but to add a little more humidity. So what I've done here is I've sped this video up because it's a pretty long clip here, and what I've done is I've taken Java moss and I'm diffusing the water. Over time, this will even slow the water more. I'm not really worried about the splash that you see on the front of the tank. Not really putting any animals in here for a long time. I really want to see how all the plants do, particularly the temperate moss and liverworts that I already put in. If those do not thrive, I will just replace with other tropical moss, i.e. Java moss or Christmas moss or fire moss, or some other tropical carpeting species that I can get. Obviously making sure that it is pathogen free. So this should spread very nicely over time. I'm literally just kind of ripping up the moss in my fingers and just putting a little here, a little there. It's gonna kind of look weird right now, as you'll see shortly, but over time, it will, because it's constantly being exposed to the water, it's being, water's getting wicked up through the sphagnum moss that I put in, it is going to carpet everything. And that's kind of what I want. And so, again, while it's not a temperate species, it works nicely, and I know that this stuff is safe because I've tested the tank that I pulled it out of before, and it's just been in there forever with stream salamanders, i.e. a spring salamander. So it's, I think, the smart move here, and I'm excited to see how long it takes. Hopefully not too long, but how long it'll take to coat everything. All right, so here's the Java moss. It looks a little sporadic right now, but over time this will coat the faux rock, and it will slow this, I wouldn't call it a torrent, but it will slow the water flow significantly, and it should create more of a trickle effect and or drips versus kind of this pouring right now. Although I will say right now I like how it's creating some aeration. And then as you can see here, I've also put the Java moss kind of all over the bottom here. And from experience, I know that this will eventually start to grow and coat everything as the water wicks up and the moss will creep up. I'm gonna keep that back part open right now. I know it looks a little weird, you can see the glass, but I want there to be open flow to the intake so the water can stay clean. Over time, I might put some more rocks in there to kind of cover it up, maybe some driftwood. But this is it overall. I'm really, really happy with it. I know this was a long video, and I really appreciate all of you watching this till the end. If you have, you get a gold sticker. But over time, this is gonna look really, really, really cool. This is, as usual, I appreciate all the support. Like, subscribe, comment, and please stay tuned for more content. And I really, 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 really like this one. So I hope you all do too. And I will be seeing you soon.